A United States Naval ship was spotted near the western Philippine landmass, while China Coast Guard was conducting what it considers an intrusive patrol around Scarborough Shoal, a contested area in West Philippine Sea. The US Naval Ship Victorious was located near the Luzon landmass, but still outside the country's 12 nautical mile territorial sea, during which China conducts intrusive patrol into the Philippines' 200 miles, exclusive economic zone. According to SeaLight Director and retired U.S. Air Force Colonel Ray Powell, the presence of the U.S. Naval Ship Victorious is not too unusual, as it was last seen in the same area in September. The United States, as Philippines' closest ally in the Pacific, regularly conduct joint maritime patrol within Manila's sovereign waters. In the latest, on December 26, the U.S. carrier Strike Group 1 led by USS Carl Vinson was sailing across the West Philippine Sea, transiting from Singapore before going into the Pacific, passing through the Philippine internal waters, between Leyte and Mindanao. Meanwhile, the Chinese fleet also consisted of 3 large Chinese Coast Guard ships and 6 militia vessels, which routinely intruded into Philippines EEZ. The USS Carl Vinson and its strike group represent the continuing U.S. military presence in the Philippines. The nuclear-capable warship, along with its escort vessels USS William P. Lawrence, USS Sterett and USS Princeton, pose a serious challenge to China's claims of the entirety of the South China Sea, which includes the West Philippine Sea. According to Pentagon-released images, the Carl Vinson carrier strike group was operating in the South China Sea, while several U.S. Navy ships docked in Singapore over the Christmas period. The Carl Vinson CSG comprises of carrier Carl Vinson with embarked carrier Air Wing 2, cruiser USS Princeton and destroyers USS Sterett and USS William P. Lawrence. The USS Carl Vinson strike group is supported by 3 CMV-22Bs after NavAir lifted restrictions. The 3 CMV-22Bs are from Fleet Logistics Multi-Mission Squadron 30, Detachment Forward Deployed Naval Forces, which is part of CVW-5, assigned to carrier USS George Washington. China Coast Guard monster ship is back in Philippine sovereign waters. China's largest Coast Guard ship continued to conduct an intrusive patrol of Scarborough Shoal in the West Philippine Sea on Saturday, according to a United States maritime expert. Ray Powell, director of SeaLight, a program of Stanford University's Gordian Knot Center for National Security Innovation that keeps track of Chinese activities in the West Philippine Sea, said the 165-meter China Coast Guard ship with bow number 5901 had been asserting China's claim of jurisdiction about 93 kilometers from Luzon Island. The Philippines has deployed vessels and aircraft to closely monitor a gigantic Chinese Coast Guard ship, the world's largest, in waters off Luzon Island, Filipino officials said, describing the ship as a menacing presence in its exclusive economic zone. Nicknamed the Monster because of its sheer size, it arrived at Scarborough Shoal on Wednesday, on New Year's Day, where it joined 3 other Chinese Coast Guard ships, bow number 3106, 3302 and 3305, and at least 7 Chinese maritime militia vessels. The 12,000-ton China Coast Guard vessel 5901, known as the Monster for its sheer size, was last seen on Saturday about 54 nautical miles from Capones, a Philippine island in the South China Sea close to the coast of western Zambales province. The Philippine Coast Guard has been shadowing CCG 5901 and transmitting radio messages asking it to leave Philippine waters, said Jonathan Malaya, Assistant Director General of the National Security Council. Obviously, this is an act of intimidation, coercion and aggression against the Philippines, Malaya told a press briefing on Monday. The Philippine Coast Guard have all their assets pointed at this monster ship. At the moment it does something bad in the sense that it would provoke actions, there will be appropriate action from the Philippine government. The Chinese ship arrived last week at Scarborough Shoal, a disputed South China Sea feature within the Philippines EEZ. The Philippines dismissed a Chinese government statement saying that its vessel was merely conducting a patrol within its jurisdiction. These patrols are a key component of China's strategy to reinforce its expansive maritime claims in disputed waters. By doing so, China aims to establish a continuous presence and gradually normalize its maritime activities in these areas. China's embassy in Manila has not responded to media requests for comment, but has repeatedly asserted Beijing's jurisdiction over Scarborough Shoal, also known as Bajo de Masinloc in the Philippines. The shoal, located 125 nautical miles, 232 kilometers, from the main Philippine island of Luzon, has been under Beijing's de facto control since 2012. It is claimed by China, the Philippines and Taiwan. The shoal is a traditional fishing ground for Filipino fishermen, but Chinese vessels have restricted their access in recent years. While CCG 5901 has not carried out any dangerous maneuvers so far, its activities within Manila's waters were not backed by any international law. And given that the Philippines do not want to be the precursor of any provocative action, Philippine Coast Guard were just monitoring and shadowing it as of now.
Presence of Chinese Navy warships in our exclusive economic zone. How are we going to respond, sir?
We are going to continue to perform our mission. We will never be part of an escalation in the situation in the West Philippine Sea. If we look at the evolution of the situation in the West Philippine Sea, the Philippines has never been an agent of escalation of tensions. So we will not do that.
So does that mean we will not deploy Navy warships in the area?
We don't need Navy warships.
Mr. President,
all we are doing is resupplying our fishermen, protecting our territorial rights. Again, it will be provocative and will be seen as an escalation. We don't do that. The Philippines does not escalate tensions. Quite the opposite. The Philippines always tries to bring down the level of tension.
Mr. President, we heard the good news about the...
On Sunday, the Philippine Coast Guard said that one of its ships, the BRP Cabra, and its aircraft were tailing the huge Chinese ship and issuing radio challenges.
To China Coast Guard 5901, this is Philippine Coast Guard vessel BRP Cabra MRB 4409. We are reminding you that you are within 57 nautical miles west of Capones Point, Zambales, inside the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone. Please leave this area immediately. Over. China Coast Guard 5901, under Republic Act 12064 Philippine Maritime Zones Act, the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea, and the 2016 Arbitral Award, you do not possess any legal authority to patrol within the Philippines Exclusive Economic Zone. You are directed to depart immediately and to notify us of your intention.
As of 7 p.m. Monday, the BRP Cabra had kept on the heels of the foreign ship for a third straight day, said Commodore J. Terriella, PCG spokesman for the West Philippine Sea, Manila's name for South China Sea waters within its exclusive economic zone. CCG 5901's erratic movements indicated that it was not engaged in innocent passage in Philippine waters, but was actually conducting a law enforcement operation in Manila's territorial waters. U.S. allies and China's forces rivalry in Southeast Asia. USNI News learned that a number of U.S. ships are docked in Singapore over the Christmas period. Among them include destroyer USS O'Kane, part of the Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group, currently docked at Sembawang Port, while the majority of the strike group, including carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, returned from deployment. O'Kane and destroyer USS Stockdale were retained for operations in the Middle East. Submarine tender USS Emery S. Land, fleet oiler USNS John Erickson, and Special Operations Forces support ship MV Carolyn Choist are docked around Sembawang, while Expeditionary Support Base USS John L. Camley is said to be docked at Shawnee Naval Base. Royal Navy forward deployed offshore patrol vessel HMS Tamar also docked in Sembawang during the Christmas period. Meanwhile, China's People Liberation Army Navy amphibious assault ships CNS Hainan and frigates CNS Hengyang and CNS Luzhou docked into Tanjung Priok Port, North Jakarta, Indonesia, according to a news release by the Indonesian Navy's main naval base 3 Jakarta. The planned ships visit for 4 days before resuming their tasking, according to the release. China's Ministry of National Defense has not issued any statements on the deployment of Hainan and its escorts. People Liberation Army Navy ships have also made a number of transits past Japan while returning to the East China Sea, according to Japan Joint Staff Office reports. A surface action group consisting of planned destroyer CNS Chichihar, frigates CNS Wuhu and CNS Handan, and fleet oiler CNS Dongpinghu, were sighted around 2 p.m. on December 19 sailing west in an area 31 miles northeast of the island of Tanegashima. And from December 19 to 20 sailed west through the Osumi Strait to enter the East China Sea, according to Japan's military. Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force multi-purpose support ship JS Genkai, along with a JMSD FP-1 maritime patrol aircraft of Fleet Air Wing 1, based at Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force Kanoya Air Base on the main island of Kyushu, shadowed the China's People Liberation Army Navy ships, according to the release. Around 6 a.m. Sunday, China's People Liberation Army Navy frigates CNS Weibei, 516, CNS Hubei, 534, and CNS Ma'anshan, 525, were sighted sailing north in an area 62 miles east of Miyako Island, and subsequently sailed northwest in the waters between Okinawa and Miyako Island, to enter the East China Sea. The Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force sighted People Liberation Army Navy ships Dongdiao-class surveillance ship Yuhengxing, 798, at 6 p.m. Monday, sailing north in an area 74 miles northeast of Miyako Island. Yuhengxing then sailed northwest in the waters between Miyako Island and Okinawa to enter the East China Sea. The planned surveillance ship had sailed southeast in the waters between Miyako Island and Okinawa on December 8, according to the release. Minesweeper JS Shishijima and a JMSD FP-3C Orion MPA of Fleet Air Wing 5 based at Naha Air Base Okinawa shadowed the planned surveillance ship. In connection with Philippines' strategic maritime security, particularly in West Philippine Sea, Manila welcomed navies from Western allies, particularly the NATO member nation, to assert the Philippine sovereign rights and jurisdiction, as part of Indo-Pacific diplomacy and global commitment for an international rules-based order and free passage to international waters. For the first time in over 20 years, the F-125 class frigate, Baden-Württemberg, and the Berlin-class replenishment oiler, Frankfurt am Main, transiting from the Taiwan Strait to the West Philippine Sea, giving strong signal to Beijing that Berlin is watching on China's aggressive action in the region. This visit is not only a testament to the enhanced defense cooperation between Germany and the Philippines, but also underscores how politically significant the Indo-Pacific region has become for Germany. The Indo-Pacific diplomacy is the German Navy's most important endeavor of defense diplomacy in 2024. It serves it in particular through close and confidence-building cooperation with strategic partners in the Indo-Pacific region, like the Philippines. While emphasizing Germany's global commitment for an international rules-based order, it also represents their pledge to ensure free and secure shipping routes and enhanced maritime security cooperation. This pledge was outlined in Germany's Indo-Pacific strategy, which stresses the importance of maintaining free and open sea lanes in the region. This premise encompasses the Indo-Pacific and the South China Sea, and particularly, the West Philippine Sea, vital to Germany's security strategies. The presence of their Navy ships in the Indo-Pacific underlines this stance that Germany is ready to stand up for UNCLOS, for international law, and to uphold the right to free navigation.
China Sea and the Yellow Sea, we have come across the Taiwan Strait and obviously now pass through the South China Sea, as said. The Chinese Navy is very much present in all these areas geographical wise. Obviously we have come across, we saw Chinese warships, but as said, we exercise our rights in international waters and at the high seas.
It underlines Germany's commitment to a stronger security engagement in the Indo-Pacific. In addition, the German Navy aims to improve its operational readiness by training crews and junior officers through challenging joint exercises with other nations. The two German Navy ships will participate in multinational exercise Noble Raven 24-3. The ships were joined by the navies of Australia, France, Italy, Japan and the United States, amidst tension in the West Philippine Sea as China continues its aggressive actions toward Filipino vessels within Philippines' exclusive economic zone. As the two German warships passed through the international waters, Chinese Defense Ministry criticized passages by foreign naval warships. The statement claimed such operations provoke and endanger China's sovereignty and security under the pretext of freedom of navigation. The visits of the Navy ships from Western allies, profoundly from NATO member nations, is an indication that the global community is concerned in the growing tension in the West Philippine Sea, which could bring the United States to a direct confrontation to China, as the U.S. is legally committed to protect the Philippines based on the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty.